record. Welcome, everyone, to the recap of Summer Camp in the Club, week 3. We are talking about the cycle of creation. So, if you've been tapping in the last couple weeks, we've already looked at 2 phases of creation, especially for us highly sensitive creatives. First, you got to go through the phase of figuring out what you want to do and why you want to do it and who you're going to become as you do it. And the second phase is you might have a little panic or freak out moment of, I don't know what to do. I don't know how this is going to work out. We talked about how to use the fuel of why you're doing it and who you are going to become to really power up and sustain you through a goal, all the way to the finishing last piece. And we talked about how to harness the energy of freaking out by turning toward pain. If you feel like something is coming at you and you don't know how it's going to go down, instead of running away and avoiding it, to turn in the direction of it and say, I see you, I have eyes on you, I've written you out on paper, and I've made some very clear decisions about what I can do from my sense of power about this. That is the first best way to stop with the suffering, is to turn toward pain. So if you missed any of the last 2 weeks, is good stuff, and you have access to all those replays, and they're on our current platform. And if you're not in the club yet, get in the club, and then you get to binge on this instead of silly, I don't know, shoot 'em up Netflix things. And soon we'll be off bringing you all into a whole new world, a whole new portal of where we can have a chat, a community building, and I can't wait to announce the plans for that. So this week, though, we're going to dive into a third phase. They don't have to happen in order with us messy creatives, but the third phase that we usually have to go through when we're bringing a project or a business or a lightsaber into the world is usually the scariest, and it's the most activating, and the one we tend to struggle with, which is actually making the mistakes, going out there, trying things, they don't work, and we have to find out what works and what doesn't. And usually if we don't like feeling like we're failing or it's not working, we avoid finding out altogether, because somehow we've made failing and being frustrated mean something about ourselves. So to make an actual plan and then do tiny steps, one at a time, each Lego at a time, in your business, in your health journey, in your creative pursuits, in your money making, in anything that if you're falling in love, it's one Lego at a time, one showing up at a time. That is actually what makes things happen. Like talking to people, going on dates, posting things, making offers, hearing feedback you don't like, getting pulled into the office, someone telling you bad news. These are the tiny things that we're going to feel frustration, we're going to feel embarrassment, we're going to feel all kinds of feelings. But guess what, my friends? You're going to feel those either way, so you might as well feel them getting to your dreams. Like maybe you've been talking about your goal for months or even years, and everyone's been really supportive and like, yeah, go for it, and encouraging. So you think, when I've actually launched this, it's going to be a windfall of signups or a windfall of support. Money's just going to start pouring in. And then when it actually comes time to do it, nobody puts skin in the game. Suddenly they're super busy. Suddenly not right now, or let me think about it comes up, or just flat out no thank you. Then what? Then who do you become? We want these moments. We want to turn in the direction of things not working, because that's going to happen in life at least 50% of the time. Because let's be honest, when us brilliant, messy creatives say, I have an idea, what we really mean is I'm bursting with creative energy and childlike innocence. And I just want having the idea to be enough for everything to work out great and for everything to just be fun and easy all the time, right? We're like, I have an idea, let's do it together. But half of the time someone goes, I don't want to do that, or I'm not available to do that with you. But it would be great to have a fun idea, do a few little things, and then see success right away. And that does happen about half of the time, especially when your goal is to make a sandwich or plan your next vacation or do anything that you already know how to do. When you already know the how and you have a vision and you do the tasks, boom, you get your goal, and that feels good. We like dopamine. But when it comes to bigger goals, business goals, things that truly you don't know how to do them yet, and you're going to have to expand as a human being, there are steps we don't know, problems that are going to come up, more unknowns. Your internet's going to crash and you're not going to know how to do the thing. It's kind of what I disliked most about being a music teacher or a music coach. I knew as soon as I put an instrument in someone's hands that a bunch of emotions, both good and bad, would become possible for this person. They were opening themselves up to joy and pain. But usually music seemed so innocent and like even kids can play music. So I should be able to do it right away. I should be able to be good at the thing right away. And I could see in their bodies, in if they held their breath right away, how much pressure they were putting on themselves. I could see it before they even made a mistake, because making music is different than building a business, different than going to gymnastics class, different than making Lego projects. Making music is very out loud. As soon as you make a mistake, people know it. You have encroached on people's piece of their hearing space. And you're making mistakes as a musician, not just in the beginning, all the time for the rest of your life. You can't hide it in the same ways. Similar to bringing businesses online and having to put it out in the world, when you make a mistake, when things are messy, it's going to be out loud. And you either make that mistake timidly and hope no one notices or is bothered. I call it getting no neck. When I look like this, I know I'm in fear about finding something out. And I have to remember to drop my shoulders and go out there and turn in the direction of the pain and say, I want to find out. I want to find out what happens. And then I want to find out what I'm made of. But when you're all timid and you hope no one's bothered, then you don't really progress in the way you envisioned, which is usually the reason someone quits in music. They just don't see the progress right away. Or if you make that mistake out loud and proud, like the kid who goes, I don't even know what a musical mistake is. I don't even know that they used to have Legos that would be just given to me. I'm just doing this. Your brain gets so much data from the things you do out loud when you turn in the direction of the mistake or the pain. It's immediate data. You will make adjustments way faster than if you're constantly responding to what I call invisible terrorism in your mind that says everything's bad. It's a big wall of bad. You will progress at a fantastic rate, but get to process massive amounts of feelings also along the way. So we have to know how to do that. And the good news is we do here. I just recently found, as you all know, an adult gymnastics gym, like with actual coaches and competitions and people flipping and flying through the air when you walk in. And the internal processes that are coming up for me about what's possible, what's impossible, what I want to do, what I don't want to do, are just real loud. And in addition to the physical limitations that I have, there's nobody's really making friends with me. Nobody's really that nice to me. In fact, I took one class where I was so innocent and excited to be there. And the instructors looked at me and they were like, are you new? I don't think you should be here. When the front desk people had just said, oh, you should try this class. So I went in full guns, like I'm here. They said I should do it. They gave me some like comments about how good I'm doing already. And then the teachers are saying, no, you're not, I don't even want to look at what you can do. You're not ready. Go to this other class. And then when I joined the other class, I was already having the emotions about being rejected. And then they didn't really acknowledge me. So now I felt all the feelings and then had to figure out where I was. Now, these are tiny examples to tap into like your awareness of the bigger examples in your life. So if all that's happening in gymnastics class, and the good news is I have a real fear of hurting myself or breaking my neck. So I'm making decisions faster about what to trust, who to trust, and it all comes back to me. Trust me. It's not time to make friends. It's not time to get approval. It's time to not break my neck. And now I'm in these classes with all these middle-aged women and men of all body shapes and sizes. And I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest camper in there right now. Every single day. I've been there for a week. And I am better. My shoulders are stronger. I was so afraid of hurting my shoulder. And everything's stronger. And none of us in those classes might actually do the goal. We might not actually stand on solid ground and do a standing backflip, but we are diligently working through our emotions and our fears to do all the pieces of it. It is so cool. So if there's a gymnastics place, I've searched for 30 years for a gymnastics place. If there's one by you, I highly recommend it. So getting back to what I want for you is I want you to choose a goal very carefully. And we'll talk more about, as we have, choosing one goal at a time, the goal you want the most. And as I'm talking, I want to walk you through a slowed down process that will help you so much as you bring this goal into the world and actually start finding out what you need to learn, who you need to meet next, who you need to hire, what skills and habits you need to pick up. Because remember, as soon as you do put down on paper, I'm going to go for this, I'm going to go for this goal, your brain's going to freak out. And so I want to give you some scaffolding to hold on to. One of the things I want you to consider when you're bringing your goal onto paper is actually not just writing like, I want to get more in shape, or I want to be a good gymnast, or I want to make a Lego project, but I want to know how you will know that you've achieved your goal. Like, what will the world actually look like? Tangible things. What will be the number in the bank account? What will be the number on the scale? What will be the number of days you have journaled? Beads in a jar. My little Duolingo, it shows me my streak. And I think of Kat every time with the stars on the page. Like, that matters. It gets the dopamine going of you're actually moving from impossible to possible to probable to inevitable to it is done in my mind already. All I have to do is the tasks and do the fails and meet the people. Another part of the scaffolding is to be willing to write your goal in the present at least once a day. Write it, give it some airtime, to give it some mental space, like vision what you're going to look like, what clothes you're going to be wearing. And commit to constraining to one goal at a time, especially the bigger the goal, to commit to this is what I'm working on and be willing to come to it every single day instead of these long to-do lists with all the goals. And then we get to the end of the day and we're like, I didn't do the thing. I'm a jerk. I'm going to get down on myself. There's no upside to that process. Put a bunch of things on your plate, only get to a couple, half-ass it. There's no upside. And the last part of the scaffolding is to choose an exact date. To choose the date by which you want the thing and be willing to feel things like disappointment if you didn't get it, and then move the deadline. To be willing to feel things like anger or frustration and then still keep at it. This is why you even set the goal in the first place. So hopefully you have a goal in mind. I took some screenshots of all y'all in the club already. We had a lot of exercise and health and wellness goals, which is fun to see. We also had some business goals. We had losing body fat. We had working on our hormones, eating whole foods, all of the things that we had to, oh yeah, I'm glad we got someone in the chat being like, hey, we're tracking you and we want to know how it's going and what obstacles are coming up. In a way, you're going to be able to meet your mind in a way that you never have before if you start to do it with a slowed down intentional process. You want to hike more with your kids? You want to do some push-ups? We're tracking that now. And what are the obstacles? And what are the things that you're able to decide about them? You want to release a new album? You name the date, and then we have different ways of how we're going to work towards it or backwards from it. So let's talk about that really quickly, because it's not just about the goal. It's about the strategic byproducts that come from you overcoming all the fails as you get to the goal. These are the things that make us look up to and admire the people we admire. The people we have that have mastered the skills that we're looking at getting for ourselves, they have solved the problems that we're about to solve in our own lives. Now, I gave you two different ways of approaching goals. From my friend Yo-Yo Ma, he starts his big, massive concertos and songs on his cello by starting at the end, the last measure first. He goes to the part of himself that will be finishing strong and knowing that he did a great job, and he works there first and then he works backwards. You can do this with your goals. After you've brain dumped all of the obstacles out and you've got eyes on all the things that your mind is going to be like, this is going to be bad, this is not going to work, you already aren't enough here, and you get that out on a paper, and you've exhausted all of the things that your creativity and your fear might add on that thing, on that list, including skills you don't have yet, people you don't know yet, money you're going to need. Even though the worries like people will judge me, that all of that'll come up too. I'll lose some friends, I'll have to feel anxiety. Put that on the paper. Then yo-yo ma style, we can make decisions about how we're going to do each one of those and how we're going to meet each one of those by going to the part of ourselves that's in the future that has already solved that and asking her, what did you do? Do you have any insight for me? And she's going to be all wise and knowing and being like, try this. First, you have to fail at this first. Go get it. Go hurry up and get to that failing. She's going to tell you some things. Working backward from the goal. What did you do the week before you released the album? What does your life look like the day before you only have 1% body fat left to lose? How many push-ups can you do the week before the deadline? And are you going to be pushing for that 2 more push-ups? If it's a money goal, how did you make the last $100? How did you make the last $1,000? Another way to approach finding out in the world, if you're not going to go contact your future self, which I like because us creatives, us brilliant, messy creatives tend to jump out the gate and be like, let's just start doing. I like the puzzle metaphor or the puzzle method. I use this a lot with musicians, a lot with my own brain when it comes to business building. Still, you've gotten all the obstacles, all the pain points out on the paper, and then you look at all those problems like you would a puzzle, all the pieces in the box. You would never reach into a puzzle box and be like, let me grab one piece and one other random piece and try to make them fit together. And if they didn't fit together, call yourself a failure and quit the whole project. You just wouldn't even think to do it that way. And if you do, come on here. I want to talk to you. I want to coach on why you're just grabbing random pieces trying to fit things together. But more likely, you'd see 1,000 jumbled pieces and you dump them all out. That's us getting everything out onto paper. Get eyes on the thing. See do you even have a table that's going to fit this amount of pieces? Do you even have room in your life for this goal? And once all the pieces are dumped out, think about those. These are my pieces of the puzzle. Once all our obstacles are out, then what do we do in puzzle making? We look for the easiest pieces, the corners and the edges, right? The obvious things. Your corners are your why you want the goal and who you're going to become. If there's obstacles around that, look for those first. The edges of your puzzle in your metaphorical life are what I just talked about. Making measurable decisions of how you're going to know, speaking about it in the present tense, putting a date to things. Those are things you get to decide. And then once you get to the jumble of the mess inside and you got to start organizing your mind internally and making an external plan, that's where we maybe go to the box. We look at the picture. If you're a musician, you listen to some songs and get some, you let the outside world come in and make decisions about it. There's a big purple patch over here. Let me put all the things that I find with purple over there. Maybe you look at your goals and your obstacles and you go, oh, these all have to do with gaining a new skill. I'm going to have to figure out the budget for if I'm going to take classes, sign up for courses, and I'm going to get this all out on paper in a timeline sort of fashion. Before you commit to that date even maybe. You see, I got to take 3 classes, the local community college or online. That way you're not doom scrolling and being like, that sounds good, I need that. That sounds good, I probably need that. I can't tell you, when I did that in the beginning, I still have courses that I'm like, oh, I forgot I bought that. Because it just happened from like panic. We put dates on our goals because we can adjust dates, my darlings, instead of giving up and adjusting the goal. Measuring your goal progress is going to require you to not see failures as stop or I can't take this and feel this at all. Measuring your goals, measuring like what did work and what didn't work is how you're going to know what's working, what's not working, which is going to help you believe more and harder, especially when it's not working. You will be tracking things in a different way where you have your personal power. Now, you might have past experiencing saying, no way, measuring it makes me feel awful. Not looking makes me feel better. Let's coach on that. I get that. But then you're juggling when not looking makes you feel better and when not looking is invisible terrorism. So that might have been your brain before coming to the club or before hearing some of this information and trying this in your life. Miraculous things are already happening. You're already coming here and saying, I did this, texting me saying like, this stuff works. And your life is already up leveling. So let's put it to task and let's actually see and decide on purpose what new beliefs we're going to have to believe, what things we're going to have to do that will serve us better than the old ways. And remember, as soon as you do these things, we can plan ahead of time on your brain freaking out. Not a problem. So the last thing I want to talk to you about today as we do this recap is the best approach when you need to take a break from your goal or have no goals because your nervous system has been ignited so much. And the best questions, whether you have active goals that you can ask yourself, or if you have no goals, still best questions. Now, in the case of no goals, I want you to consider still applying choosing a date. When are you going to have no goal be complete? How much are you going to relax on this vacation from goals? And if it's 5 years, not beating yourself up about that. You can adjust the timeline anytime you're ready, but just giving your brain direction, even around no goal, and how you're going to measure if you're really staying true to that goal matters. So, do you know that book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl? He talks a lot about not ever aiming for success, the carrot, not ever even aiming for happiness as the goal, or I just want to feel better, I just want to relax more. That those are the things that we can't pursue. They must happen as a result of our dedication to being dedicated to a cause greater than ourselves, to being dedicated to the strategic byproducts that come from surrendering to something greater. I used to think even so far that if I just stayed surrendered, that the best things would come to me and I shouldn't have goals. So this is nuanced. It's not that you don't have goals. It's that you do allow yourself to desire and step into the obstacles and step into the wanting, but knowing you can contact your future self, knowing you then will surrender it to something greater, knowing that you're crystal clear about those parts of the goal setting process. So it can get tricky and it's nuanced, especially for us sensitive, gentle, loving, generous creatives, but it's still possible. When you have no goals, you can still direct your mind towards meaning that serves you. When you have big goals, you direct your mind towards meaning that serves you. You can and will and are already making good decision about what your next step is. Now, when you have no goals, you might feel great because you're coming from intuition and spontaneity more. You might be welcoming in serendipity or coincidences or partnering with your higher self, your higher creator. And those are really beautiful things from no goal times to bring to active goal times. You can use those skills that you're getting better at on either side of the court and bring them into your goal setting. But either way, consider deciding on the amount of time you want to have this goal, even if it's no goal. Consider how you're going to stay awake and aware to that pull of listlessness and no meaning and no motivation that can feel a lot like stillness and relaxation. Us creatives can get real panicked if we feel like we're not doing anything or doing enough. And for those of us with active goals right now, those of us who are going to be moving back into active goal phase right now, after fully enjoying no goals to the fullest, consider this. The best questions you can ask for yourself and your business at any given time is the questions you ask yourself and answer them yourself. You can commit to getting better every day by stepping into what I'm going to call from now on the expert evaluator in you. You got all these committee members vying for the gavel in your head, trying to make the decisions. I want you to now insert the expert evaluator. This is the one that will be in charge of asking yourself and then saying, even if I don't know, and I came up with just an idea from creativity and trusted my co-creation with creativity herself, this is the one that's going to bring your self-confidence online more and more and more. When you're wearing your expert evaluator hat, you will only need to ask and answer 2 questions at any given time. Number 1, what went well? And number 2, what will I do next? That's it, my darlings. When I started to train my brain on what went well just now, even if I was feeling awful, yes, you still have to process the awful, the emotion, and then ask what went well, what will I do next? Because inherent in the first question of what went well are so many powerful micro questions like, what do I want to do again? And do it on repeat a little bit. What was fun for me? What made the best impact for me, for others? What did I appreciate about this? What did they appreciate about this? How did I best serve here? What do I want to do again? What went well? And inherent in the second question, what am I going to do next, is also powerful micro questions like, what didn't go well? What do I need to tweak? What felt so awful that I need to pause and feel my feelings and nurture myself? What skill was I lacking? Who will I ask for help next? What will I do next has so much in it. And since we were trained, most of us more like indoctrinated to ask outside sources first for these answers, the important thing here is to build the skill of asking yourself to answer the question. Ask yourself and then let yourself answer. I gave an example of sometimes I start a journal page with a very messy, very raw, very emotional, like, what am I supposed to do about this? And then wait for the answer to also come and not get up from that journaling session until something has come. Allow your goal to always be in the becoming phase. That means you cannot fail. And remember, still, as soon as you do the things, your brain's going to freak out. So we go back to the scaffolding of how you know you have achieved the goal. How will you know? Talking about it in the present tense, visioning it every day, committing to one goal at a time that you're really looking at, trusting that that's going to have lasting effects for all the other goals. The skills you learn for one goal affect all the goals. Committing carefully, talking to people about it, giving legs, and choosing a date by which you will look at this. Did I do the thing? That way you can start working backwards and planning that way, or going with the puzzle analogy. We did it. We have done another recap. Thank you for being here and holding the space. And now I'd like to hear from you. What's coming up for you with your goals or any part of this, the expert evaluator, the questions you ask yourself, the scaffolding I've given you? Let's talk. Let's coach.